Godsmack put on an awesome show this weekend, but what happened to rock concerts? Last weekend I went to Houston with my loser friends with those Godsmack tickets, top priority of the summer. It was for Buzzfest, which started at 2:30 in the afternoon, but we didn't even get to the hotel till 4 o'clock because of the monsoons that were going on. I've been going to rock concerts for 30 years, but this is the one where it really felt like something had changed. Godsmack is one of the few major rock bands that I love that I had not seen before this, so I was super excited to get over there. Even though I'm wearing a Godsmack shirt now, no, I did not wear a Godsmack shirt to the Godsmack concert. And one of the first things I noticed was the bathrooms. They were clean. People were politely waiting in line. The sinks were being used for washing hands, not pissing in them. Nobody was pissing in the garbage cans. Nobody that I saw was pissing out in the public area. I had pit tickets, so I walked right down to the floor and had to use my phone praying for a Wi-Fi signal to come through so that the barcode in motion would signal and let me through to the actual floor, which was a lot different than those paper tickets we used to carry around with us, just hoping we didn't lose it on the way or we'd be screwed. The floor or pit, whatever you want to call it, was only probably 20 bodies deep, which seemed pretty small. And I got there right as the second to last band, I Prevail, played before Godsmack, as soon as they hit the stage, and it wasn't even half full. Before Godsmack could even start, we had a delay because there was lightning visibly out in the distance, not even any rain, just some lightning out in the horizon, and they had to delay the show because of our safety. Mind blown. Once Godsmack hit the stage, they kicked in with Legends Rise. And when Legends Rise, it's one of my favorite songs, high energy, that hit it, and the energy levels definitely kicked up. Now, if you don't know who Godsmack is, they are absolutely a hard rock band. They may not be quite as angry intense as like a Slipknot or something on that order, but they're definitely no bubblegum rock band. They are hard rock, and they got up there and they put on a great show. They had high energy, they were really making an effort up there, and it just felt a little bit unreciprocated from the crowd, or at least in the pit where I was. In fact, when Godsmack started, I walked right up to third layer of bodies. There was one row of bodies against the rail, which included a 10-year-old or 12, whatever, I don't know, this age, and his mom, who just sat there filming it with her phone most of the time. And then behind them was three girls about, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that, and me behind them. And the girls weren't even pressed up against the first layer of people. They had a couple foot cushion because there was really no reason to get too close to anybody. The floor at this point is maybe 3/4 full at most. This is definitely not shows of the past. Back then, we would wear old jeans that we didn't care if they got messy or torn or anything. Same old t-shirt, didn't care if that got ripped or torn off or lost. We would wear boots with usually a lace-up for ankle support, just because it gets kind of hectic in those mosh pits. And we sure didn't have anything like a watch or anything of value. The kid next to me, maybe 20 years old, 25, he was on his phone so much with glasses on, which we would never wear in a pit, with his phone so busy that he didn't even notice the guitar pick that got thrown and hit him in the head. Now, there was one girl with her boyfriend pretty close to me that was bleach blonde hair, tattoos, fake boobs, really dressed trashy, having a great time, and that's what you like to see. But she was the only one in my zip code of that concert that I saw like that. Despite what I thought was a little bit of a weak crowd response in general, Godsmack kept cranking out the hits. They did the Crying Like a Bitch, Keep Away, and Awake from the Navy commercial that you might have seen. One gal pal of mine had said to get ready for a small guy with a huge voice, and that's exactly what Sully did. He's not the tallest guy up there, but man, he belts it out, and he just put all that energy in. I mean, all the band members did. So not only did he keep cranking out, but it also, there was no voice fade. I didn't notice anyway. You go to like, you know, and I love Rob Zombie, but you go to a Rob Zombie show and that voice fade is, I mean, he's struggling right after he gets started. Vince Neil, same kind of thing. Sully did awesome the whole show. And he was playing guitar the whole time. Now, yes, there are other singers that play guitar, like Hetfield is a big one, Paul Stanley. Not only did he play all that guitar, but then they brought out a piano that he played for Under Your Scars. Again, some other singers can play piano as well. And it wasn't just a ballad to get in the top 40 list, it was something with some sincerity and some real meaning too. So I can appreciate that. As if that wasn't enough versatility between the vocals and the guitar and the piano, then they roll out a second drum set. So Sully gets in one set, and Shannon, the main drummer, is in the other one, and Sully is playing a legit drum solo in parallel with Shannon, and he's doing the drumstick tosses in the air and everything. It was pretty impressive. A couple other things I really appreciated is not just in the performance and the music and that crunching rhythm line, but it was some of the things that Sully said. And we all know that vocalists get up there and they read the back of their guitar to see what city they're in or whatever, but Sully got up there and made a comment about us not having to wear masks anymore, and which is fine. And then he said, you know, someone asked me at the beginning of all this COVID stuff where I was on the political views of it. And what he told the guy was, you know what, I'm an entertainer. People come see me to be entertained, not to hear my political analysis. And I thought that was actually a pretty cool thing to say, because it'd be nice if some of the other people that are supposed to be entertaining wouldn't give us their political views. Since Godsmack's been performing these shows almost as long as I've been going to shows, it was also interesting that Sully noticed the change over the years as well. And he said some comment about, yeah, as I look out, you know, I don't know why some of you dudes have like 2 sets of shoulders. Of course, I yelled out, I'm like, they're called traps, bro. And at least the girls in front of me laughed. But he made a comment about like, hey, if you're a dude and your girl's here, put them on your shoulders. Let's do it like the old days. And there were a few that actually did that. And when you looked back behind you at the crowd, and you saw girls on guys' shoulders, it was kind of took you back to the old times when people did that at concerts. In fact, one girl even threw a nice black bra up on stage and Sully hung it on the microphone. Again, he was trying to make us feel like the old days at concerts, which I thought was awesome. Another thing that the mobile members of the band did as they were running back and forth across the stage is they would take the effort to, you know, slap hands with the people in the crowd, or look at their phone cameras, you know, so they can get video and pictures and stuff, which I thought was good as far as they're still doing a show, but they acknowledge that this new age is here with all the phones and that. On that order, another thing they did is Under Your Scars, normally you would see all these lighters in the old days, and somebody always had like a 1-foot flame on their Zippo, but here it's everybody's got their phone, and just blows my mind. We're at a rock concert, you know, the old days, that would be smashed. I wouldn't have gone into a Metallica mosh pit with my $1,000 phone hanging up in the air like that. I mean, those phones not only being expensive, they have everything from your contacts to your bank information in there. That was then, this is now. The band also threw picks and drumsticks and bottled water into the crowd, so a lot of people got nice little souvenirs to take home. Another thing I noticed is there was no encore. I thought surely there would be, because I hadn't heard Voodoo, I hadn't heard 1,000 Horsepower, so I was looking forward to an encore, but the minute they said last song, that was it. The roadies came out, started packing up the equipment as soon as the last song was over. There wasn't a whole venue of people stomping their foot and yelling Godsmack for the encore. So I don't remember if Slipknot did one last time I was there. I guess maybe that's just not a thing anymore. The environment has just changed so much, and a lot of it is economics. Back in 1990, when I went to my first concert, it was at Vets Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa. It was Kiss Hot in the Shade tour with Slaughter and Faster Pussycat opening for them. We paid $25 a piece for those tickets, and they were all general admission. Every ticket was a potential first row. That's why people fought to get to the front back then. At that time, if you were to buy those tickets and then try to stand outside and sell them to make extra money, it would be called scalping, and it was actually illegal. Now, for some reason, because you use the internet, it's legal to suddenly buy these tickets and put them out there for a huge inflated price and rip people off that way, and I guess that's legal. And then on top of that, you have the Ticketmaster fees, which are way more than what I used to pay for the old ticket. And the only thing convenient about the Ticketmaster fees is how convenient it is for them to screw us to the wall. The problem with all that is that the only people that can afford to be on the floor, they tend to be, not to stereotype, but they tend to be the dudes with rich parents that just getting video and pictures so he can put it on his Instagram, and the one girl that follows him, she might see it and like it because she's trying to grow her OnlyFans page. It's just not what it used to be. Most of the fun people happen to be back in the affordable seats. Even in the pit, like I said, to be able to walk right up to third row behind 2 layers of people at a Godsmack show blows my mind. Compare that to when I saw Ozzy for the first time at Iowa State, and we were in the very back row of the floor, a seated concert. I kind of snuck my way up to about 13th row, and then Ozzy said, "Come on up and see me." So we all started taking our chairs, these folding chairs, throwing them over the back of our head, wherever they land, oh well, and we all got up close enough, not all of us, I got up close enough that I could read the Ozzy on his knuckles. So that was pretty cool. Again, very different environment. What I hate to admit is not only is the environment changing, but so am I. I now wear earplugs because things like that Kiss concert way back in '90, I couldn't hear for about 2-3 days after that. It was so loud. So now I have to wear earplugs because I've done shooting guns and I've done loud guitars and I've done concerts and riding motorcycles that are all extremely loud and bad for your ears. Now granted, I've been in some pretty rough mosh pits between Slipknot and Rammstein over the past few years, but there's still nothing like the old days of Metallica or Danzig or White Zombie. It's just not even a comparison. And I just really thought that the Godsmack pit would be more intense. Now overall, I loved the Godsmack show. I thought it was a great concert, fully appreciated what the band came out and did, felt like super great energy, good music, you know, great performance and everything. I just felt a little bad for them because it just didn't feel like looking down into there, if you imagine being the band and looking in that pit to see it barely 3/4 full and everybody, not everybody, most people just kind of standing there or sitting there filming it instead of really getting into the music. I would think that would be tough to swallow, especially because they're an old enough band that they remember what it was like in the old days. I just wish for the band's sake that the pit would have been a little bit higher energy because it all feeds off each other. That said, minus the pseudo-empty pit, when you looked out in the crowd, there was very few empty seats and it looked like those people were getting rambunctious and having a good time and stuff. So it was great to see that, and I'm not a kid person, but there was definitely a younger crowd as well in there, and I thought that was great because you're seeing the new generation of metalheads coming up, and that's awesome. Just got to get a little bit more intensity in them. So at least not all the new generation is worried about Taylor Swift tickets. So maybe what the venues need to do is start reversing the economics. Imagine cheap seats on the floor where all the heathens will go and raise hell and have a great time, and that'll push the royalty back up into the stands where they can have their seats and they won't have to worry about spilling their LaCroix on their collared shirt. Subscribe to my YouTube channel below and let's celebrate turning fuel and air into adrenaline.